Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to the Scarlet Dawn's territory. In today's episode, we are most likely going to be finishing off the Scarlet Dawn once and for all, with oddly weakly reinforced tiles around the main base. It really shouldn't be too much of a challenge to break our way through and finish off the Red Dawn. And honestly, I am really keen to see what their main vehicle is now like, the Scarlet Dawn. The Scarlet Dawn of the past was an actual vehicle, not a stationary building like the other factions, so I'm keen to see if that's still true, and by popular demand, we are going to be fighting it only with wooden vehicles, and if we lose, we will send another wave of our early vehicles, things like the Cornflake, the Bloodfang, maybe a Malal's Will, but probably not, some of the stuff we haven't used much of, like the Hover Base. There's a lot of stuff I really want to throw at this absolutely amazing vehicle, if it's still similar to how it used to be, because it was awesome before. I can only imagine it's either the same level of awesome, or awesomeness has been added to it. We can only hope. But first, there's a little attack force heading towards us, and, well, it's one of the bugged ones. Sadly, these are the enemies which have not got out of the water, so they are essentially going to be free resources for us. It's a shame, really, but it just keeps on happening. Let's send in a Bloodhound, they do well against things in the water, send in some Seekers to be annoying, and send in some more Seekers, because being annoying is just what we do. Now, how much resource do we have? Whoa, that's a lot. Okay, Malal's Will, my buddy, could you get over there for a tick? Because I want to build a blood altar on the Devil's Curse crater. Did I read this before? Well, if I didn't, here you go, you can read it. The Devil's Curse was a truly amazing and terrifying vehicle back in the day. I don't think it's actually in the campaign anymore. Well, let's build ourselves a resource harvester. Not that we really need it. We have definitely reached the end of the game right now, I feel. I just leveled up somehow. Does playing the game just cause you to level up slowly? I actually didn't know that. Anyway, let's just get straight into this fight. Let's just bombard them with Seekers. I think that's really the kindest thing we can do. Put the Hydra over there, put you over here, all the usual gubbins. So what I've decided to do anyway is go up through here, fight this tile, then slide on over because our land vehicles can't get over without being converted into aircraft, and I feel like that's a bit cheaty, honestly. Then we're going to fight our way up to this tile, then lure this tile out into here, then kill that tile, and then finally the end boss. That is, if they don't spawn any other forces against us, so we have to be somewhat quick. That's a lot of missiles behind one of our vehicles. Okay, looks good. I think I'm going to jump onto one of the Seekers for fun, and let's see how fast we can kill the already downed vehicles. A little bit later, and the torpedoes from the Bloodhound finally scored the finishing blow, after the Bloodhound got into a really stupid position where its laser could no longer hit the enemy. But on the upside, torpedoes, lots of them, it's not good for a sunken airship. It's now classed as 2 damage, so soon it should also start self-destructing. The particle cannon also did a lot of work to the internals, very rapidly turning off most of its weapons and removing its ammo. Like so. And there it goes, self-destructing, and the first battle of the day is over, although it was very, very one-sided. Still managed to kill 3 of the flyers, though. So that's certainly a lot of credit. In other news, the Blood Altar is up, harvesting the remains of the Devil's Curse. And being a nice place to hang up all those mainframes we've liberated from the enemy. We're just such nice people. Look how cozy and warm they are there in their little sauna. They're happy. Surprisingly enough, this will actually be the last large-scale fight, at least in terms of force count, and it's the Nyalev versus the Dark Star, the Cosmos, and the Wyvern, or Wyvern. Honestly, I feel like getting to the enemy is going to be very quick and relatively painless. Well, it's going to be quick anyway, that's the important part there. And the battle begins. Maybe I shouldn't be on top of this thing. You would think I would have made somewhere to hide on the Nyalev by now, but apparently not. The lasers there very quickly carving into the Dark Star as I move to take a better look. I have already taken some damage. Missiles incoming from the Nyalev, just about missing versus the Cosmos. Oh, you're not the Dark Star at all. I am a bit of a derp. Either way, though, look at how many blocks are being melted from this poor thing. It is the Dark Star. I'm not a derp. I was a derp to count myself out. Oh, the other side of lasers are now hitting the other target. And there goes particle effects and weirdness. Well, that was something that got destroyed. And again, is that the smoke dispensers being destroyed? That is a weird glitch. Maybe I should restart the game after this. Oh, look at this for a second. Let's just pause time. The Nyalev right now in the middle of all... Yo, wow. Yeah, definitely some particle effect blurriness there. That needs to be fixed, but ignoring that, right now this is the perfect place for the Nyalev to be. It has the side lasers here fighting against that, it has those side lasers against that, this laser is just about to turn enough to fire at that target, and then it also has both of its railguns lobbing shells at this target. Had to clear my throat there, the shells did land, doing some damage, but they are definitely being outperformed by pretty much everything else. The munition defense keeping the Nyalev completely safe during this fight. And that's why building bigger is far easier. The next fight, I'll use some other craft. I just wanted at least one more fight with the Nyalev before we finish off the campaign. Just the butt laser there, going off, destroying the last target, going straight through it. Oh, what a glorious explosion. There are also torpedoes, which should be coming around. That was the weirdest way for you all to turn. What happened there? Well, that was bizarre. Either way, though, the target is dead. There we are, some of the torpedoes coming in, along with some of the missiles. The sad thing is, with those railguns, the railguns can almost one-shot the Bloodhound with a good shot. They're just less visually appealing. They don't show as much of what they're doing. It's one of the problems with the larger volume campaigns, such as Nita. Weapons like that don't really get shown off too much. Either way, the Nyalev proving to be our ultimate vehicle. Even putting things like the Medrungard to real shame. And now, I'm going to quickly restart the game in order to fix that bug. So here's a question a few people have actually asked me over the previous few videos. Can cram cannons be competitive when you're fighting against lasers? Honestly, the only reason why we use lasers so much is because the enemies use lasers so much, and it would be a massive disadvantage for us simply not to use it. Well, let's send in the Plague Guard, and only the Plague Guard, against a group of the enemy, making sure that the volume is balanced. And let's see if that works. The Plague Guard is definitely the best cram cannon vehicle I've ever made. Can it defeat lasers, advanced cannons, and missiles? It would be lovely if that answer is yes, especially because I am proud of the Plague Guard. A random aside, but if you look at the bottom left, look at how fast we're getting resources now. I think we're getting enough for a Seeker every couple of seconds. I can't see how you can lose the campaign in its current form, to be brutally honest, once you're on the last faction. Unless you fight everyone at once, which is definitely something fun I could do in the future. It just feels like I could throw an unlimited amount of forces now in our own defense. Not quite balanced in volume, but if I only had one, I would be at a major disadvantage, and one of the enemies is indeed the Anarchist, which costs almost 4 times as much as a single Plague Guard. So I think it's balanced enough. We have the Anarchist, the Flare, and the Stardust. I cannot remember what the Flare is at all. Either way, let's get straight into it, and let's see if we even stand a chance. I feel like if we do hit the Anarchist a lot early on... Oh no, don't say it spawned incorrectly. Game, why do you do this to me? Okay, we are definitely restarting the game because I want to test this out properly. Try 2. I really think the Anarchist was a great vehicle to test against as well, which is what's so annoying about that. Okay, we have the Bishop at the wrong altitude again, and the Nightmare. The Nightmare would have been proven... Well, honestly, I think if we beat the Nightmare, it would prove once and for all cramp cannons can be good, at least on ships. But with their main vehicle not in the air, yep, let's do that again. Okay, this is getting silly now. This is the 15th, I'm not even kidding, the 15th time I have restarted the save. That's the point we're at right now. I am wasting so much time trying to get the game to do its job. Here's the thing. I have noticed before, if you allow the enemy to chase you for a long time, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, they do start to increase in altitude. There we go, altitude of 1. See? It's totally fine now, but in all seriousness, if we can get that to go to an altitude of, let's say, 10 or 20, where it's at least out of the water by default, then it should be okay. It's not as good as it could be, because obviously starting at its maximum altitude already is perfect, but it's doable. I think I'm going to have to restart again. Finally, an enemy that is spawning at apparently an okay altitude. It's got an altitude of 4, but the thing is, it's still going at its regular speed. Normally, when they spawn in incorrectly, their speed is broken. So what we're going to do is just see what happens. Now, for the Casimir, I will spawn a little bit further back, because honestly, the Plague Guard really wants to be as close as possible, so the cram cannons have less travel distance, so there's less chance of the enemy moving erratically and simply dodging it. But since I don't know if it's actually going to be out of the water or not here on the 17th try, well, let's be nice. It definitely has lasers. I don't think that's working. No, it's definitely not. Well, it's gonna die, because it'll count as sinking soon, and all the torpedoes are going to absolutely wreck it. Also, cram cannon to the face. And then torpedoes are... Yep, there. Yep. Oh, no, stop, don't get any further down. Bad. Okay. That is a satellite. It's the satellite that people who are familiar with Robaz, which I imagine is a lot of you, called the Reaper. It looks amazing. I've never got to actually see it because it's not classed as a godly. It's actually a lower difficulty, I believe, so I very rarely get to see this spawn in. The last time it spawned in underwater, and right now it was going down in altitude. So this is a satellite. A satellite, in theory, should beat a cram cannon vehicle 99.9% of the time. Cram cannons do not deal with space well. They deal with it better than they used to, but not well. This thing has lasers, it's really cool, but now I've had to spawn it in so far away, it's probably not going to work, because it needs to fire at things somewhat underneath it, similar to my old Corn satellite, which I built in Season 2 or Season 3 or something, which absolutely wrecked the Scarlet Dawn because of how overpowered satellites are, and it's one of the reasons why using cram cannons and stuff becomes less and less viable. Oh, I am so disappointed. Please be high enough that you're not going to just fall out of the sky. Please. For me. For Lathrix, for Laffy Boy, just be there. Pause time, let's look at it at least. There we go, thank the Dark Ones, it can still fire. Yep, it does have an angle on its limbs, but this is close to its maximum range, at least its maximum angle, I suppose. Isn't that cool? It looks like some kind of phage, it's just awesome. Is it going down? No, it's not! Is it? It is! It's going down! No! Oh, come on, game! Oh, I am so disappointed. My level of disappoint is so high. Oh. Just. Oh, I am so upset. Oh, that is so bad. Now, things like the Nyalev and even the Malal's Will would devour this. It's as simple as that. But things like the Plague Guard, it would be a real challenge to see how well Cram Cannons can do in what is pretty much their worst case scenario. And that's what I wanted! I wanted to see my forces die! The Blood God cares not from where the blood flows, only that it does, and you are preventing me from bleeding. Which is a weird thing to say, but I am so upset about that. Oh. Let's just make our craft focus on the Nightmare at least. So we're trying to kill a Nightmare, which is very good versus Cram Cannons, with 2 Cram Cannon craft. That's all I can think of. Also, apparently one of the enemy small craft rammed into us, and I believe we've stolen it. That happened. I don't know what to do from here. I guess we could try and lure out the next force and see if they work better, because this is like 30 tries later now. Oh, I love you from the depths, but you have some serious teething problems. Okay, I've ordered the 2 of the Plague Guard to aim at the Nightmare instead. The Nightmare is also a great example of a craft which deals well with slow-moving projectiles, so I'm happy enough. I'm just so disappointed that it can't be the enemy satellite. Also, the Nightmare is faster than my camera at full speed. Yep. I would imagine, though, one good Cram Cannon shot would knock out those thrusters at the back, so if it hits the back section, that could be really problematic. We do have some munition, sorry, some anti-missile defense as well, which is helping. Yep, definitely helping. A load of those missiles went off track there. Stop firing at the Reaper thing! Kill the fast thing. Okay, kill both. Kill both, sure. Did you lose it? Well, apparently the Nightmare managed to knock off one of your turrets. You would think the order to deal with that would be quite important, but apparently not. Thank you, finally. That was your guess to where the enemy would be. Oh, particle cannon. Yep, that's what's taking out the weapons. It's good enough to knock out our weapon cap. The movement is too volatile. The shells are too slow. The Plague Guard are going to have such a tough time landing a blow on the Nightmare. Whereas the Nightmare has particle cannons, and that will not be difficult. So I guess it's going to be a bit of a war of attrition. Can the Nightmare single-handedly kill 2 Plague Guard before it runs out of fuel? I'm actually going to assume no. Now, the Plague Guard can only heal 1% health every... Oh, there goes the turret. Every, I think it was 5-6 seconds, something similar to that. That might be enough, which is a bit of a shame. I don't like the... Oh, it lost something! We missed a small hit. I think it was from the small advanced cannon on the top of the Plague Guard. What? We missed the kill. We missed the kill. How did you kill this? You've lost less than 200 blocks. What killed you? So, after the last clip, the game actually managed to crash, and I took some time looking at all of the footage we've got. It seems like the actual victor was one of the small cram cannons, causing a hit to the very back of the Nightmare, causing several of the thrusters to be destroyed along the side and along the back, meaning once it started turning to the left, it simply couldn't counter that turn, and it ended up going into the water. You can see this because there is a very faint outline of an explosion from a cram cannon in the location, and there is also one shell missing from the last volley, the volley which came remarkably close in its entirety. So the cram cannon landed the kill, but I'm not happy. Let's try and find a better fight. Finally, a battle which is going to work. I can't state how long this has actually took to get, but here we are with the Dark Star, which is meant to spawn low down, and the Wraith, which is indeed spawning at the correct altitude. I am so happy we finally get to see a fight which is working. So, as it stands, the enemy definitely has a massive advantage. If we add our other Plague Guard, however, we have a much larger advantage. The enemy definitely has the advantage of both volume and cost with only one, but I'm okay with that. Let's do that. But to make up for it, let's spawn in a little bit closer than I normally would in a fair battle. I think that makes sense. We have less volume, we have less money, so in return, we have better positioning. Okay, the Dark Star has a very, very nasty laser system. On the upside, with lasers versus the Plague Guard, the lasers are most likely going to focus on the underside, and they're going to focus on where the mainframe and the ammunition storage is, which honestly is the strong part of the Plague Guard. That's why it does so well at tanking damage. If you really want to kill the Plague Guard, you aim for the weapons. If you don't aim for the weapons, you're gonna be there for a while. There's a lot of armor, a lot of space armor, and pretty much everything I could think of with a very low cost to protect it. Doesn't mean it's going to necessarily win, it just means it's good for us. Okay, there we go. Our missile interceptors, though, doing a great job versus the missiles of the Wraith. Cram Cannon's not doing so well, though. Tell a lie, there we go, taking out one turret straight away, a second hit as well. It does have some munition defense, but it doesn't seem to be enough. Yep, I can see a large armor segment missing from the Plague Guard on the side. It seems like it focused almost entirely on the mainframe. The Wraith might actually do better than the Dark Star because of its movement. Cram Cannon's missing again, definitely their big weakness, missing targets which move after the shell is shot. Or change path, I should say. Incoming! Oh, just missing. This weird movement of the Dark Star is proving to be really difficult for the Cram Cannons to actually land a hit on. There we go, several on the bottom, causing it to fly even further away. At this point, is it worth shifting attention over to the Wraith? The Wraith is still happily just flying around us, occasionally volleying. Oh, you've lost the local weapon controller, and you've lost one of the ammo storages, okay. Yep, looks like the Dark Star is pretty much finished there by the Plague Guard. And the Wraith is no longer firing. Is it simply out of ammo? Oh, maybe it uses belt-fed loaders on its advanced cannon. That would make sense. Hello. Whee! Engaging now. Missiles, once again, being distracted by the interceptors. Huzzah for that. Oh, mostly at least. A couple landing, but not all that many. And then difficulty hitting, once again, that is the biggest weak point of Cram Cannons. And now just glitched into the side. Okay then. The Dark Star has actually righted itself again. But it seems like the combination of torpedoes and Cram Cannon spam is doing its work. It's almost finished now. We're definitely in the correct difficulty, right? Yes, okay. Just wanted to check. It just seemed like a few things were a little bit off there, but apparently it's all in my head. Oh, incoming shells again from the Wraith, which is out of range. It just really wants to just kill the Dark Star. There we go. It seems like the Dark Star is easy to cripple, but difficult to actually kill. The very internals are very heavily armored, but the outside, the turret caps, and everything else are quite easy to break through. No shots landing there, sadly. You see, one-on-one, I'm almost certain a nightmare would kill the player god. Oh, wow. Just saw a huge internal explosion there. What has... Am I out of ammo? It's definitely destroyed one of the ammo storages, but I can't see why it's not firing. You're definitely in range, and the AI is definitely up. Like, you couldn't have simply taken out all of the local weapons. Two of them are actually on the bottom of the ship, which we just saw. Oh, is it just out of range? Maybe the smaller ones don't think they're in range. Yeah, it does seem to be quite far away, actually. Okay, it was simple as the enemy's not in range. That's why we're not firing. There we go. But yeah, I am of the firm belief one nightmare would definitely kill one player guard. In fact, I think we'll test it out in just a moment in the sandbox mode. This may take a while, though. Just missing there with that volley. This is going to be a while. I think this proves why cram cannons can be a little bit, countered. This was the point I was trying to make in the first place. It just seems like the firepower of this thing isn't quite enough to actually kill a player guard, though. So, eventually, the enemy was shot down from the sky, in which it was just devastated by the torpedoes, but honestly, it was definitely the small advanced cannon which did win the day, at least at that time. So with that, let's go to the sandbox mode and test out versus the Nightmare, before we pull out the enemy forces and then attack the main base. Which I've got a really horrible feeling may suffer from the same problem as all of the other forces. I'm really hoping not. If it does, we'll just skip the fight, do it in the sandbox mode. There needs to be an end to this game, even if it wants to glitch out. Play guard, with me actually off the vehicle this time, so I'm not providing that very small amount of healing, versus the Nightmare. Already a few very small hits from the very small advanced cannons, and the enemy is considered out of range. Not even close thanks to that turn. And the funny thing is, the detection system is actually pretty good at detecting fast targets, but look at that. I don't know what it is about the Nightmare which really messes up detection systems. We had this problem with the Bloodhound, but it turns out I had just set it all up incorrectly. Hold on, guys. All of those close misses. Particle cannon hitting there and destroying a lot of metal, but thankfully nothing too important. The missile's incoming, and there goes the advanced cannon. Yeah, that armor healing is going to do absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's nowhere near the target, but good try, good try. Once again, a large amount of damage done. Mostly just knocking out superficial segments, though, nothing too spectacular. I suppose there's the problem with cram cannons. Since they're so slow, you can't... Oh! Set up the detection system to be too specific against fast targets. It does have to be mostly used against its strength, the slower targets. Did that do anything that time? That time it hit the front with all the heavy armor, not the vulnerable back section. No, it didn't. Heavy armor definitely survived, although it looks far less polished now on the right side. Consider that paint damage. Perhaps without healing, the enemy would have a much better chance, so I do feel a bit bad for that. Okay, hitting the back that time, but this time only taking out a couple of thrusters. The last time it was a perfect hit on the direct back. That time was a little bit further forward again. Oh, one large cram cannon has now been removed. Can that still turn okay? This is where it died last time because it couldn't right itself after doing a sharp turn. That is going very low. How low is it going? And the nightmare is sunk. Any back hit simply kills the nightmare. Well, lesson learned there. And now it is vulnerable to the torpedoes. It can no longer use its missiles, its main weapon. It's pretty much considered dead now. Now, without healing, what difference would that have made? Since the particle cannons were impact, so they hit one block and then spread their damage, it would mean a lot of that metal armor wouldn't have been there. And as you can see, some of the metal armor has actually returned already during the course of this fight. I think if healing wasn't a factor, which would take a while to set up, by the way, which is why I'm not going to do it right now, it may have turned out differently, but that was a small cram cannon which did clinch the victory, so I feel like depending on luck, either one could win. Now back into the campaign, after we see this. I love cram cannons. Let's just make sure the enemy will spawn in correctly, shall we? Play guard, get close enough to the enemy that it can spawn in. This will be our first look at the Scarlet Dawn, and yes, it does say altitude 0 of 252. I am really, really hoping that's wrong. Oh, it does seem to be in the water, but here's the question. Here is the question. Can it get out of the water? And will it take damage from the surroundings? It's probably best we do this fight now, because it will allow it to change its altitude and positioning slightly. I think. Oh no, it's definitely out of the water. Okay, that's great. Sort of laying siege to it. That's getting quite low. Is it meant to be that low? Oh, it's going back up again. Okay, yeah, that seems fine. The little advanced cannon there doing absolutely nothing. It seems like the enemy has a lot of munition defenses. And it looks absolutely amazing too, so that's definitely a benefit. Minigun on the top, lots of lasers. A few cram cannon shots there. 2 hitting overall, but not really doing all that much. Come on, single player guard, I totally believe in you. Oh, saying that, that was a nasty hit on the other side. It's got too close to the player guard, its top weapons are no longer firing. No, this is not how we end this. Oh, it can warp. Okay, that shouldn't have been a surprise. Being so close is both good and bad for the player guard. It means the enemy munition defense is going to be a lot better, but it also means the cram cannons have a much higher chance of actually impacting. No. By the power of Nurgle. I'm speechless. If that goes in the water, it's dead. It's simple as that. With the torpedoes and the fact that the weapons won't be as effective. Just to confirm again, we are on the regular, well, the difficulty we set out, which is this. And we currently have absolutely no points into anything which will affect our ship. Are we sinking? A little bit. Looks like we are losing altitude slightly. Probably a lot of the hull has been pierced. I feel like maybe the weapons are outdated. Oh, that PID system is trying so hard! This is such a close fight. No, it isn't. Without the weapons, it's just protecting itself very well, but... Oh, that hit directly there. That's just gone straight through that section. Massive cram hits now. Looks like the munition defense system is really weakened. They're saying that so are some of our shells. I keep seeing green and yellow shells, so it's definitely damaged some of the cram cannons. The funny thing is, with one of those then being detonated by the munition defense, it would have been a miss, but because it got detonated so close, it actually did damage. I need to make a huge cram cannon battleship at some point because of this. We've seen what a medium ship can do. I definitely underestimate cram cannons. Though, a good advanced cannon would still do better, just... layered armor, yeah? Two small internal explosions there on the player guard, but nothing it can't survive. We're going to still redo this fight in the sandbox mode, but I'm going to turn off all healing on the player guard. I want to see how much of a factor that really is. That munition defense is very good, though. Poor thing. Just to show how long it does take to heal, though, the player guard has been doing this now for a very, very long time and still hasn't healed back up to full. It's been at least 3-4 minutes now. It is definitely less than 1% per 10 seconds. Far less, in fact. Problem is now, the enemy's got quite far away and keeps on moving really weirdly, meaning the shots keep on missing. Because the airtime for the shots is like 20 seconds. There we go, there's a hit. I think it's going to escape. It's still at 88% health. It's just so far away now, it's much faster than the Plague Guard. Plague Guard does not make it a good assassin, apparently. I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, we could just wait for it to run out of fuel. That is assuming it's working with fuel engines and not steam boilers. Or RTGs, of course. Oh, no, it has RTGs. It's never going to crash. Or we could end the battle and try again with a second Plague Guard. Or something. I don't really know right now. Oh, is it going down? It's hard to tell. I don't think so. What a weird last fight. So, Player Guard, where are you? Currently, I'm actually off of you. You've lost 3% health somehow. Hello, buddy. So... Whoa, yeah, you lost a fair bit of health there at the end. Now, one thing I was considering is... if I were to use these, the different buffs... what would be the best way to buff cram cannons for people who really want to use cram cannons in their campaign? The only ones I've ever really used, and this was in the Glow campaign, which I quickly turned off because, well, people kept telling me how overpowered they were, and I actually do fully agree. The only ones I'd used were Scientists and Gunsmiths. Increases fleet-wide shell velocity and accuracy. I imagine that would be good with cram cannons if that does work with cram cannons. It certainly sounds like it does, but I can't confirm that one way or the other. Armor Smiths obviously is good. Aha! Gunnery equipment. Crams and APS are more accurate and reload faster. There we go. So, gunnery for Captain Buff, and then gunsmiths elsewhere probably would be it then. Okay. Just wondering if cram cannons would ever be a meta item. Probably not, but still. Chance of that hitting? Fairly low. At least it looks like a proper artillery attack. Yep, the enemy just started moving sideways, and it also has those still online. Take that, water! Oh, or not. Really? You knocked out my shells. That's it, turn back around, go back into the fight. Oh, it just skimmed one of the mountains. If it can get stuck, it's definitely dead. It still occasionally shoots, that's the only reason why I'm not ending this battle early. It still keeps on shooting, but yep, that's a mountain. If you don't move, you are so gonna be hit in a second. How much health does the... Okay, it's now up to 92%. Yeah. The healing is slower than it looks. I think you can actually buff healing as well as one of those buffs. Close enough to do damage? No. Maybe I should stop it from firing for a second so it fires all of its weapons in one volley. That may be the best option here, since it only has 3 of its weapons actually working right now. Oh, going straight into the line of fire there. A slow and painful death here for the Scarlet Dawn. Oh, beautiful. Almost just destroying that internal segment there. You can definitely tell the difference between the larger cram cannon shells and the more regular sized ones. Waiting for it for a second was definitely the best option. It also seems like the Plague Guard was actually out of ammo, or at least so lacking it couldn't keep up the regular fire rate. It's now nighttime. We've been here for like 15 minutes. On the upside, it's kind of pretty, if very difficult to see. Oh, if that hit then, that would have been so good. Sadly not. Hey, Scarlet Dawn! Look, it's the dawn! What a good time for you to die. Your armor is so good! I've seen such larger vessels die so much quicker to cram cannon fire. It's like the defense is there, but the stability and the fire rate isn't there. Oh, munition lasers are offline. This will be so much faster when it's in the water and the torpedoes can get the job done. Oh, it's still trying to warp. You know, I had plans for today. I had plans that maybe I was going to bring back the old corn satellite. I had plans maybe I'd use nukes in some way to use the corn flanks. I didn't really know. You know what? I didn't expect this to be how things would end. The assassination of the Scarlet Dawn via the Plague Guard. Am I happy? Yes, I am actually. I am remarkably proud of my vehicle. I am not proud of many of my things I build. Honestly, I still do not think I'm a good builder. I have seen so many great creations on the Discord from other people who play it. I still don't consider myself anywhere near that level. I'm mediocre, really. I definitely think I am. But I am proud of the Plague Guard. It's a bugger to kill, and it has some really good cram cannons because I looked up guides for them. And it just does the job well for such a medium vehicle. Though, my god, this thing will not die. Just go into the water already! Oh, did you listen to me? It must have so many redundant systems! Have you seen how many explosions you've been dealt? Just perish already! It's a mercy killing at this point. There we go! My god! That thing did not want to die. Like most things, actually, but this one really didn't want to die. It had the opposite of a death wish. It had a life wish. Now the torpedo should be being released in a second. Now it realizes it's actually in the water. And that should be that. Well, actually, it might not realize it's in the water yet, depending on how it... See, I've never really found this out. Does the weapon realize the enemy's in the water by its center of mass, or by if one block actually touches it, its minimum altitude or greater altitude? I just don't know. Either way, though, the torpedoes are here, which are going to add a lot of DPS. And now it's just sitting there as well. The cram cannons are almost all hitting, so... Message to display title. Well, I am glad you displayed that. With the enormous wreck of the ancient starship smouldering in the water, the plague, that has troubled Nita for over a century is finally over. Any survivors of your wrath have scattered to the wind, and those that aren't caught by your troops will soon succumb to the hostile environment. Whether you are a liberator, of course, who has finally freed the land from an alien incursion, or a psychopath who has committed genocide on an entire species, is irrelevant. All you know is that there is only room for one planetary conqueror in this world. Oh yes. Well then, to actually finish off the campaign, what we need to do now is spawn in all of the things we've captured, the stolen bases, and finally let them rest. Now, I was planning on setting the Corn satellite on them by using one of the enemy simulators or using nukes, but because we are so out of time right now, we're going to be kind. We're going to put them to a quick death. We're going to watch them die, don't get me wrong, but it's going to be reasonably quick. The Onyx Throne. Lording over the lands of the Onyx Watch. Now, we have judged you to be corrupt. Although you aided us to begin with, you were never truly a good enough friend. Maybe normal time to watch this, eh? There we go. So now you melt. Your leaders finally being given a little bit of rest. I can't believe this campaign is over. The Onyx Watch is still my favourite faction, I think. After all is said and done, I love them so much. Also, the fact we actually hung up the mainframes of the Onyx Throne. Good guys. Definitely the good guys. Goodbye to the Davy Jones's outpost. The pirates of this world, and apparently one of the Guardians. Here's the thing, people who do evil and say it's in the name of good, are they not truly the most evil in this world? Now we as good guys can at least be happy that we are the good guys, unlike these foul, foul pirates. Which actually gave us the whole idea of hanging up mainframes. Everyone who had their mainframe hung up after being destroyed, blame the Deepwater Guard. The Gorgon of the White Flyers. I would say the best looking of the bases, although saying that the Lightning Hoods was amazing. It's just we didn't get to capture it, sadly. Oh, White Flyers. Religious zealots worshipping the flayed god. I mean, how can you be that much of a zealot that you kill everyone else just because of that? Now, the Blood God... At least we're doing it for the greater good. Say goodbye to the spires. Oh, that is glorious. The Raven's Nest of the Grey Talons. I learnt more from the Grey Talons than any of the other factions. I learnt a lot to do with aircraft, a lot to do with airships, and honestly, the AI setup and PID stuff, this really helped. And honestly, it's just an absolutely amazing looking HQ. Sadly... Whoa, that was loud! Sadly, it makes a popping noise when it dies. What the... That's a weird way to die. That's a weird thing to say. God, you're weird, Raven's Nest. It's such a huge building. Just look at that. It puts even the Nihiliv to absolute shame. I wonder which one of the HQ buildings would actually win. I may do a separate mini video of that if you guys are interested, by the way, so tell me in the comments below if you'd like a short video of just all the different headquarters fighting each other. A bit of a mini tournament style thing. One more for the Blood God. So apparently, I don't actually need to kill the Steel Strider's main base there to finish this off. So we have two final bases then. You there, which I'm going to just destroy off camera, and the other one which looks identical, which I will of course destroy on camera. Slowly but surely, without the explosions, because you had to watch this in paused. Okay, let's unpause, and... Better? Not good. There we go. Stop trying to heal each other. %, health, 10. Oh, the AI is gone. There we go. Now, our score is terrible, and I'll explain that in a second, but either way, the mission is complete. Sadly, no extra flavor text there, but we are done. The battle for Nita is complete. The Blood God reigns over all, as edgy as that sounds, because let's face it, we have been comedically edgy from the very start. Next time, I'll have a different theme, I think, either Orky or a different Chaos God or something else. So, clearly... We've got over double the par time. We didn't actually do that well, but that's mostly because we've been trying to have fun, we've been trying out different designs, constantly doing weird capturing techniques, lots of stuff which isn't efficient, but was just fun. We also had a lot of honor rules, which took a lot of time. But my god, that was a lot of fun, and I must have spent at least 5-6 times of that just building craft. We're done. Nita is finished. So next up on From the Depths, because you know I'm not quitting this game just yet, I'm far too addicted, I am tempted to go back and play another Ashes of the Empire campaign. We could do Dangerous Waters, the problem is though you don't get to design your own craft, and I find that a little bit more dull. We could just play it through and see how it is, but there's no creativity there, and there'll be less of me getting better over time, because I definitely got better during this campaign. It was a fantastic learning experience. Ashes of the Empire, of course, much smaller designs, less overpowered things in general, although of course you can still cheese it. I will try to apply lots of honor rules to that, and I think it would be the more fun, but please let me know what you think, because honestly I think both would be great. This has been a fantastic thing to play through, and I'm so glad so many of you stuck with me through it. And I would highly recommend, if you haven't already, there will be a link in the description and in the comments section for the vehicle showcase I did recently, which really should have came after this episode, but I really wanted to do it, in which I showcase all of the designs I used throughout this campaign. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is something you wish to see coming back in the future. I still can't believe it's over. And over with a Plague Guard winning it. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.